Yo, what's up guys, it's Jack and welcome back to another video. And I was asked very recently on Twitter if I could make a video talking about how it all started with me in terms of Call of Duty and what it was like when I started playing, and when I first started playing, and how what it was like playing the Call of Duties in their prime for me personally. And I realized that I never really talked in depth about it. I kind of hinted here and there in videos that I made in the past, and I thought I did talk in depth, but I guess I didn't. And if I did, I sure as hell don't remember it, so I might as well talk about it now. And so without further ado, here we go. There's lots to talk about and I don't want to go over time. Alright, so when I first started about 7 years ago or so, I had no idea about the YouTube scene. That didn't come around the time until the Black Ops 2 life cycle. Call of Duty Black Ops 1 was when I started taking Call of Duty seriously in terms of like wanting to get better and all that. Well, actually that was Black Ops 2, but I didn't start getting really interested in Call of Duty until Black Ops 1. And basically Modern Warfare 2 was the first Call of Duty I ever touched, and let's say that I had no idea what the hell I was doing. And the reason why I got into Modern Warfare 2 in the first place was because I saw that everybody on my friends list was playing Modern Warfare 2. And I was still teaching martial arts at the time, and my students that were younger and that were in their teens or whatnot, they were like, have you played Modern Warfare 2? I'm like, no, I haven't. I'm playing Halo and stuff like that. I'm like, I don't want to change. I'm going to stick with Halo and all that. And then finally, I guess I got bored one day of playing the same game over and over again. I said, you know what the hell? And I'm looking at everybody's been playing that game on my friends list. I was like, okay. So I went to Walmart and I picked it up. And there was also one, before I picked it up, I asked the guy at the electronics, I said, what do you think of this game? And he was around my age, maybe slightly younger. And he said, multiplayer is where it's at, man. And I was like, okay. And I had no idea, actually, when I first played Modern Warfare 2, and especially even back then, it wasn't until the Black Ops 2 era to where Call of Duty basically became my main game, where I spent a vast majority of my time playing Call of Duty. So I was playing many different games back then as well, so I was dividing my time. But with Modern Warfare 2, I had no idea about creating classes. I just went in there randomly because I was playing Halo. So I was like, okay, I guess you just have this gun that you know, I had no idea you can create your own classes. I didn't know about the perks and stuff like that. And when I first played Modern Warfare 2, I played the campaign from start to finish. And I thought the campaign was really good. I had a lot of fun with it. I really appreciated what they did with the campaign. And it was very different from Halo, but yet it had its own feel and uniqueness to it. And as far as controls are concerned, I like the fact that you can run and gun and kill people easily, but it could also happen to you. And it was also Modern Warfare 2, and it was very all over the place. And it felt very weird to hold down the left trigger to aim down sights. And the aim down sights mechanic was weird too, because it was very different than scoping in Halo, especially back then. So yeah, it was new, but it was a breath of fresh air because I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the Spec Ops. I enjoyed trying to get 3 stars on every Spec Ops mission, or trying to beat the campaign on Veteran, which I did end up doing. But in multiplayer, I was one of those players to where I would go quadruple negative every game. I was running all over the place. I was making mistakes in and out. I mean, I remember one time specifically, I went 6-46, somewhere along those lines. And all my friends were like, "Damn, dude, you need to get better at this game." And they weren't mad at me or anything, but they were like, "Damn, man, that's bad." So yeah, that's basically how it started. And I didn't know how big Call of Duty was. I didn't know how big Call of Duty was until around Black Ops 2. Everything happened to me in Black Ops 2. Everything. I became exposed to the YouTube scene in Black Ops 2. I knew how big Call of Duty was at Modern Warfare 3 because I saw the Call of Duty XP. I saw the reveal, because it wasn't until sometime after Black Ops 1 was finished to where I was playing a lot of Call of Duty, like a lot of Black Ops. And that was cut short because my my Xbox ended up getting the Red Rings of Death, and then I had a PlayStation. I ended up switching to PlayStation because I always wanted PS3, and I always wanted to play God of War, especially God of War 3, because I had a PlayStation 2 and I've played God of War 1 and 2. So I was like, yeah, I'll switch it up. I was still playing other games. I wasn't that big into COD to where I stayed with the 360, and I didn't know that the 360 had an advantage over the PlayStation and all these different kinds of things. And I didn't even play Call of Duty on PlayStation, actually. I just played single-player games mostly. And then later on, when Modern Warfare 3 came out, I went to the midnight release. I got it, and my best friend gave me gave me his one of his Xbox 360s. He had tons of them at the time. He gave me one of his for $50, and then I picked up the game, and we got on and played, and I still sucked. I didn't even have a positive KD. But I always had that addictive feeling of, okay, let's see if we can get more kills next game, and so on and so forth. I didn't know anything. I knew how to set up classes. I thought the classes that I had set up were everything. I mean, for me, it was all about quick draw and running around all over the place. I had no idea what the hell sound whoring was. I didn't have a headset. I had no idea how people always knew where I was, but I had no idea where they were. I had no idea how spawns worked. So I was always a negative KD player, hands down. I was always a 0.8, but I always enjoyed playing the game. And that's one advantage that I'd say back then. It was more fun back then than it is now. It's a different kind of fun now. Even though I'm much better now as a player, it's a different kind of fun. The addiction of getting kills is still there. And I still look forward to playing the game more to see if I could break my record or whatnot, or whatever that means. But it was a different kind of fun then. I didn't rage back then. I didn't care. I just got on to play. I had a magnificent time. It was all about prestiging back then for me, leveling up, unlocking weapons, getting camos. But I was very, very much a casual player, and I still played a ton of different games. And then Black Ops 2 rolls around, and that's when I got exposed to YouTube. I was in between jobs. I wasn't teaching martial arts anymore. It was around that time when I decided to call it quits in terms of teaching, and I was in between jobs. And I was on a seasonal job shortly after. I'd say 6 months later. I was 6 months later or so. I was at a seasonal job, and whenever I would come back home from season, or when I was in between jobs during the season, I I would play Call of Duty, watch YouTube, rinse and repeat until the next job came around for us to take. And fast forward a couple years later, during Ghosts, where I've learned what sound whoring was all about, by the way, I said, you know what, I could do this YouTube thing. I've gotten to a point where I could, where I do very well in games, and I can get gameplay, YouTube-worthy gameplays, at least in my eyes. And I was very interested. I was inspired by XCal, by Sandy Ravage. And by the way, one of the things that made me get better at Call of Duty, besides playing the hell out of the game, was one of the YouTubers, Woody's Gamertag, back then when he was doing Call of Duty content. He mentioned briefly about how spawns work, and then ever since that brief detail about how spawns work, it made me go from a 0.8 KD to a 1.6, and then it wasn't too long after that. It was about a year later to where I was averaging a 2 to a 2.5. So, and then I learned a little bit more about strafe shooting and how to shoot properly, target acquisition, sensitivity, things like that. And then I just started applying it because I was playing nothing but Call of Duty. That's all I wanted to do when I got back from work, and the seasonal job was like, okay, all I'm going to do is stay home and rest up from this job because it literally took a toll on your body. So I would come home, I would enjoy the hell out of my bed, and I would just play the hell out of Call of Duty. That's pretty much it. And then after that, I was doing YouTube content myself, and I had a channel that I was just doing gameplays. I barely did commentaries. I didn't have the microphone that I have today. And then a few months later, I called it quits. I'm like, screw this. This isn't for me. I don't feel like doing it. But the fact that I quit doing it was something that I always, it was always in the back of my mind. And then I was like, you know what? Let me try this again. And then that's when the Jack of All Trades started. And that was almost 3 years ago, of April 15th, 2015. And it's almost been 3 years. And here we are today at over 500 subs, which I still can't believe. And I'm streaming as well. I learned how to make my thumbnails. I'm still learning as I go along. I'm still a noob. I'm still where I was back then in terms of a noob when it comes to this whole YouTube and streaming thing. But yeah, that's basically how it started. And I had no idea, back then there was just so much I didn't know. And I'm not talking about just YouTube, but I'm talking about like Call of Duty in general. I didn't know how big it was. There's just so much I didn't know. I was very, very much a casual. I was very much one of those guys that went quadruple negative that you guys probably run into in every lobby. So that's why I never rage at people like that. That's why I never rage at bad teammates. I just kind of shake it off and say, I used to be there, so I get it, I understand. So yeah, that's basically what it is, and that's it. That's how it all started, and this is where we are today. So that's it, guys. Let me know down in the comment section what you think, and as always, if you enjoyed the video, let me know, and if you didn't, let me know what I can do to make my videos better, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.